Welcome to this video. My name is Darshan M. Kadgiri and I am working with Jain College of Engineering, Belgaum. In this video, I will be giving an introduction on solids, that is introduction to solids. And most of the introduction will be done through visualization by using a software. In this slide, you'll see that we are going to mainly talk about right regular solids. This is very important. Right regular solids means that the axis of the solids, like for example in this visualization it will be more clear, the axis of the solids are going to be perpendicular to the base. So the axis you see here, this is the axis. This axis is perpendicular to the base, and the base is a regular polygon. Okay, that means all the angles and the sides are going to be same or equal. That is the meaning of regular solids. And right regular solids means that the axis is going to be perpendicular to the base. In this we have to study about pyramids and about the prisms. In pyramids we are going to study about the square pyramid, pentagonal pyramid, hexagonal pyramid. And similarly in case of prisms we have to study about square prism, pentagonal prism and hexagonal prism. So there are some basic terminologies that we need to know. So we will study about these terminologies through these visualizations. In this you will see that we have a vertical plane and a horizontal plane, and don't worry about this solid here right now. We will only consider this one and try to study basic terminologies. In the top view we can see a square. So this is say the square, it is the base. Okay, so if the base is a square and if all the slant edges, these inclined lines, they are called as slant edges. So there are 4 slant edges in this and 4 edges of the base. So if these slant edges, they meet at one point, and that point is the apex of the pyramid. Usually the length of the axis will be given in the problem, and the length of the edges also will be given. So you can start by drawing the views like this. So this is a square pyramid. Its top view is a square, and we can see that if we join the diagonals of the square, they represent the slant edges. So now you come to this, it is also similar. The only thing is that now one of the edges of the base is inclined at 45 degrees. So when we must draw like this and when we must draw like this, that is also very important to know. So I will be explaining that. So whenever in the problem, if it is given that the solid is resting on one of its edges of the base, so we have a base here, so this is the base. So when it is resting on the edge of the base, or when it is resting on a triangular face, the orientation should be drawn like this, okay. I will show you here what it means. So let's take this and let us try to make it inclined. So in this orientation you can see that it is resting on one of the edges of the base. It is resting on this particular edge of the base. Similarly, if you continue to make it inclined, I will show you this from here to here. if I continue to make it inclined, it is now going to rest on one of its triangular faces. So it will be resting on a triangular face. So whenever it is told that the solid, in this case it's a square pyramid, is resting on one of the edges of the base, it has to be drawn in this particular orientation, that is, it has to be drawn like this. On the other hand, if it is mentioned in the problem that it is resting on a corner or an slant edge, so this is the slant edge, this is the slant edge, then we have to draw it in this particular orientation. So here also I will make it clear. So if I make it inclined like this, sorry, we have to select the solid, and if I now make it inclined, it is visible in the front view. Let me show you the front view. So it is inclined like this. It will be resting on a corner like this. Further, if I continue to make it inclined, it is going to rest on one of the one of the slant edges like this. It's going to rest on one of the slant edges like this. So depending on what is asked in the question, we have to select the orientation in the initial view. So whenever we are asked to draw resting on edge or resting on triangular face, we will draw this, and whenever we are asked to draw resting on corner or resting on slant edge, we will be drawing this as our initial top view. Also observe the front view. We will concentrate only on this. In this view, I can see only one triangle, of course, and this line that you can see is the axis. But now when it is resting on a corner or on a slant edge, the orientation, that is the top view, is drawn like this, and the corresponding front view will appear like this. We can see the two triangular faces. This line is in fact this edge, but here you can see that there is no edge, so it is the axis. So we should note these things. Similarly, for pentagonal pyramids, we have the same things. I'll show you the top view. Whenever it is resting on an edge or on an triangular face, that should be drawn here, and whenever it is going to rest on a corner or a slant edge, it should be drawn in this particular orientation, and it should be rotated like this, that is clockwise. I'll just show you once. Select this, and yes, now it is resting on one of the edges of the base, and if I continue to rotate this until it rests on the triangular face, then in this case it will be resting on one of its triangular faces like this. So depending on whatever is asked, we have to initially select the correct placement. Similar is the case with hexagonal pyramids. You see the top view. When it is resting on an edge of the base or on a triangular face, then we should draw the orientation like this. Whenever it is resting on corner or slanted, we should draw it like this. So this is about pyramids. This is about the pyramids. You can see various pyramids here. This is square pyramid, pentagonal pyramid, hexagonal pyramid. Same is the case with prisms. This is a square prism. This is a square prism. You can see that it is a prism, in fact. So it also has an axis. It has a top face and it has a bottom face, and it has these lateral surfaces. These lateral surfaces, that is, the lateral surfaces are similar to the walls of a room. So we will consider only the sides, that is this particular side here, this side here, and this side, and one more side which is this one. So there is a top face and a base and four lateral faces for this particular prism. It's a square prism because its base is a square. Again, similar to the previous explanation, whenever we want this solid to rest on one of the edges of the base, then we have to place it in this particular orientation like this, and whenever it has to rest on one of the corners, then we have to place it in this particular orientation. Usually resting on this edge will not be asked in the problems usually. That is why usually resting on the corner or resting on the edge of the base in case of prisms. Next is about the pentagonal prism. You can see that it's a pentagonal prism because its base is a pentagon. Its base will be a pentagon as seen here. It will also have an axis. To mark the center of this, we can bisect two sides. Wherever the perpendicular bisectors meet, that will be the center of this. So here it has five sides, five lateral sides, one top face, five lateral sides. This is the first one, second one, this is the third one, this is the fourth one, and of course this is the fifth one. So it has five lateral sides and two surfaces, one on the top and the other one is the base. So if we want to rest it on the edge of the base, we are going to place it like this, and this will be the orientation if we want the prism to rest on one of its corners. So the top view will be like this. So edge is on this side. I want to rotate it clockwise, so I will have one edge here, and if I want it to rest on a corner, then I will have a corner and I will rotate it clockwise like this. Same is the case with hexagonal prisms. Again, in the top view, we can say if it is resting on edge, you should have one edge on this side, and if you want it to rest it on a corner, you should have one corner on this particular side. See the front views. See the front view of this. In this view, you can see only two faces, but in this view, we can see three faces. Okay, we can see three faces. There is an axis here. In this particular view, the axis will also be visible. In this view, the axis is there, but in front of the axis, the edge is there. So this edge has to be represented by a continuous line. Whereas in this case, the axis will be represented by a chain line. Same is the case with respect to the pentagonal prisms. Let us see the front view. See the front view like this. So you can see two lateral surfaces in this case. Here also only two lateral surfaces are visible, and in case of a square prism, we can see that only one lateral face is visible. All of the rest are behind this. But in this particular orientation, we can see that this green and this yellow faces are visible. So this introduction is important because in the problems usually there will be statements like the solid resting on the edge of the base or resting on a triangular face in case of pyramids. In case of prisms, it will rest on the edge of the base. So initial placement is important. So I thought this introduction will help you to visualize. Thank you.